2028, one Big Mac will equal $1 million. From the Gospel of John McAfee. Bro, just learn to code. The Project Freedom Podcast.
Boom, and welcome to the Project Freedom Podcast, episode number 18. Boy, oh boy, where has the time gone? It is already episode number 18. Tonight, guys, we're going to talk about how to dev harder. And really, honestly, this might not be the most popular subject for a podcast that I've done so far, but it's something that I did want to talk about because I think it's important. And you know, tonight's going to be targeted towards people who are working IT or developers. But honestly, guys, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about can go for really anyone in any work environment in 2021. Because again, I believe that the world is going to change significantly. It already has changed significantly, right? I mean, you guys all know that. But I believe it's going to continue to change significantly, and that a lot of kind of like the old world way of thinking, and especially when it comes to like the corporate environment, is going to die, and the people who can't adjust are going to be left out, and they're going to have a hard time. And I also think, and we're also going to talk about today, kind of like the quote unquote technological employment takeover. And I'm going to try to hit on this not from a pessimistic side, because I think some people are going to have some problems with this like transition in society. But I think most people are going to be one of the from the elder of the age spectrum. So I think probably like more so the boomers, and honestly, the people that are going to have the problems are all getting ready to retire within the next like 5 or 10 years anyway. So, you know, take everything what I say with a grain of salt. And if it doesn't particularly relate to you specifically for what we're talking about, I'm sure you can find a way to relate it to yourself. Let me check in with the chat. Christian Soto in the house. Fire emojis. What's up, man? Wait, Emery, what is up? What is up with you, my friend? Sam Bergenzi says, Sam saying yes sticker. String sticker equals yes. Yes, Sam. That is the string of the day. Max Tinita says he's with the SEC. Oh, God. I hope no one in here is making any meme coins. We got an SEC officer in here. Nobody. You guys better not be making any meme coins. All right. So, guys, let's kind of like first, I want to like talk about what the current work environment is like in the quote unquote corporate world. In 2021. All right. Now, I think you guys have noticed that a lot of companies are trying to hire people right now. And even just like bottom of the barrel wagey wojak jobs, like literally working at McDonald's, they're having a hard time finding people to work in these jobs, right? And instead of sitting and harping all night about why that is the case, because I think we've spent a lot of time on other episodes to talk about why, I want to talk about where I think that's going and how we can change ourselves, or at least change what we're thinking in order to benefit us in the future. All right. Now, okay, so we just used McDonald's as an example, and what is like, if you think about like the local McDonald's down the street from your house or wherever the fuck it is, right? You think about the structure of the workflow at the McDonald's. What is the first thing that when you come, and let's just say the drive-thru, right? Maybe not going inside, because some places you go inside the McDonald's, like the first thing you do is you just interact with like the kiosk, and you put your order in, right? It's a machine that's got software running on it. The first thing you do when you're going through a drive-thru, most likely, is you're communicating with somebody over the speakerphone, right? And you tell them their order, right? So your first entry point of communication with a McDonald's employee is you speaking to them verbally, right? You got to let them know what you want, okay? And then what happens next is they have inside a POS system, all right? And a POS system, for you guys don't know, is if you work in any sort of like food service industry, like if you're a server or anything, most restaurants have like a computer screen that's like probably most likely touchscreen, and you can like choose what order you want. It tells, and it basically like tells them the total. It totals, does all the math for them, right? And then it prints out a receipt, right? And then what happens? Then they're like, all right, you're good to go. You're good to go, and we'll see you at the window. Then you go there, and then you do what? You give them cash, or most likely you're giving them a debit card. I don't know, maybe you use an Apple Pay. All right, and then you give your money, and you have your money exchange. They give you your receipt, and then you get your food and drive off, la-di-da, right? So if we think about it, basically, at least, and this is going to be like a conservative number because it's honestly more than 50%, but at least 50% of your interaction and also the employee's interaction is with a machine, with a computer, right? And the computer obviously has software that runs on it, right? And software does half the workload. It does the math. It keeps track of the orders, right? It probably has, I've never worked at McDonald's, but it probably has some sort of like inventory management algorithm that'll like let them know if they, they use cheese or they use whatever ingredients are used for one Big Mac, which by the way, in 2028 is going to be $1 million. We all know that. Then it'll probably maybe deduce from the total of whatever amount of like inventory is required for a Big Mac, right? And then you get your food and you leave, right? So it's really not, and this is, guys, I'm not saying this to put anybody down or anything, and I'm not saying this to belittle anybody, because in all honesty, being a McDonald's employee back in the day, that used to be like a really good job for like a high school or a college student, right? That was like kids' first real job was to like work at a fast food restaurant, and they got paid good for the time. And it taught them how to work. It taught them to value money. They taught people a lot of lessons, right? Which is not the case anymore because most people who are McDonald's employees are like adults, right? But a lot of people that are working at McDonald's now are, again, just like I said, adults, right? And it's probably not a very satisfying job to have unless you just really are really passionate about McDonald's and food service, okay? And I've talked about this on previous podcasts, like people that are working at even if you work a really good job, guys, like people that are working at a job probably are not working at that job because when they were 6 years old and their grandpa was like, hey, little Jimmy, what do you want to do when you grow up? It probably wasn't like, hey, I want to be the software engineer for McDonald's Incorporated, right? It probably wasn't that, right? But maybe they just got a job as a developer for McDonald's because, they need to put food on their table, right? And that goes with all jobs, no matter what position you are, right? For a majority of people, not 100% of the case, right, guys? Not 100% of the case. And so that's probably a large reason why people that work at jobs like that and just jobs in general just aren't happy. They don't feel fulfilled, and they're just there out of a necessity to put food on the table, right? That kind of mindset, which is almost like forced on people nowadays, right? Like you're almost forced to work a job and just for money so you can get by, right? And again, guys, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work, okay? But it's all revolves around money, right? And obviously, people's main thing that they want in life is the number one necessity currently is to have enough money to sustain life, right? And if they're not able to get that part of their life sorted out, then that has to be the primary focus. And this creates a problem because people aren't able to go after and do things that they should be doing because they're passionate about it. And most likely, if you're passionate about something, you do a lot better job at it than if you're doing something that you really don't care about, right? So, and then it was kind of like back and forth. But the point is, in the future, there's a possibility that people in employed positions like this for corporations may potentially be completely replaced by software and algorithms, okay? This is a bad thing or a good thing. I don't really know. I'm not like a societal scholar per se. I can only make observations with the things that I see and hear and know. Now, that being said, there does have to be like a human element to account for error, right? And then obviously humans have to write that software, okay? And GitHub Copilot isn't going to write good enough software for you, okay? And if people were freaking out about GitHub Copilot, it's not that great, guys. It's more marketing than anything else. But although I will most certainly be using it, because if I can write less code or write code faster, why the fuck not, right? And that is another thing. That is one thing that I want to talk about in a way to dev harder. And if you're not a developer or you're just in the IT field, maybe a lot of guys that follow me and guys in the group are either developers or they're working some sort of position that surrounds software development, right? And people have conflicts with other people that they work with sometimes. You guys all know the phrase that I love to say, soy devs. So to define a soy dev without enraging people, how can I define a soy dev without enraging people? I think most of you guys, when you hear those two words, soy dev, you can put two and together and you can probably come up in an image in your head what you think, or you could just take a look at the thumbnail of this video, and I would consider that to be a quote unquote soy dev. But there is a personality trait that or lack of personality traits that I would say most developers have, and just people that are high IQ individuals or just people that work in IT have or don't have that other people do or do not have as well. So, for example, actually, guys, you know what? Instead of just saying what X, Y, and Z, I'm going to tell you guys a real story, okay, a real life story. And if there's any of the guys from developer direction in the chat, you guys have probably heard me say this story like 30 times in our webinars. Every time we have a new launching of something and we have new people, I tend to tell the story. But for people in the audience who haven't heard this, just pay attention because it's important, all right? So, when I was a student in the computer science department in my school, which, by the way, going to school for computer science is a completely different story these days. But when I was a student back in the day, I was not doing a lot of code outside of school. All right, pretty much all the code that I did was because of school and for school, and therefore I wasn't super interested in the code that I was doing for like traversing binary trees or just writing random algorithms, because it just wasn't very fun, I guess you could say, right? It wasn't very interesting. It's all like kind of theoretical stuff. It's all things that you would find in a textbook, which have their place and have their purpose and have good meaning, all right? But anyway, the point is, so I never spent a lot of my time outside of school and outside of my time doing homework to write a lot of code. For one, I was a college student and I was busy doing other things like drinking and going to the gym and just being a degenerate. Being a degenerate to the maximum level that I could while also sustaining some good grades, right? But you guys know college students, right? Because I was living like the average college student life. And I remember being in that department, it was like it was the first semester or it was the first semester of my senior year. And we had this class, and it was basically called, I don't remember the name of the class, but basically it was supposed to simulate like a real world work environment. And this, by the way, was the first type of class we ever had that was even anything like this. Like they try to give us like a hint at real world experience with development, right? Outside of like doing theoretical computer science bullshit, right? And basically the whole point of the class was we all got in a group. Everybody was assigned a group project. We actually did a Bitcoin exchange written in Java, a mock Bitcoin exchange. And the entire class got the same project, and we were all split into groups. And basically, there was this person in our class, and it was a pretty big class. I think it was groups like anywhere between 4 to like 8 people or 4 to 6 people. I don't know. That part's not important. But pretty much everyone picked their groups quick, right? The teacher didn't assign people to groups. Everyone just made groups with each other. Okay. And our group was set up pretty quick. And there was this person in the class. It was in a bunch of my other classes as well. This person's name was, we'll call this person K. All right. We'll call this person K. All right. And the K was, compared to average people, K was a very strange individual. All right. K had, I would say, an identity crisis, you could say. K didn't really know what K was. And Kay also, liked to dress very differently than people. And guys, a lot of developers and people in IT are just flat out fucking weird. All right. But Kay was like exorbitantly weird. Like Kay would come to class with this, just a strange, just like, hey, I'm a fashion statement. Right. Okay. And, Kay was basically sat alone and nobody had picked Kay to join the group. Now, I didn't really know Kay very well as a person, other than like the minimal amount of interaction that I had with Kay. And Kay, anytime I didn't interact with Kay, it was obviously apparent that Kay was incredibly smart, right? Like insanely smart. Kay was always the type of person that would like, kind of like teacher's pet, like, hey teacher, I know this answer before you're even gonna ask the question kind of thing. And to the point to where the teachers would be like, hey, can you shut up so I can like get my lecture over with? But the point is, Kay was really smart, right? And I remember we were like, okay, Kay, you want to join our group? And so she joined our group, and then we divvied up all the parts of the software that we had to write. We kind of split up, right? And basically, guys, this class, we weren't supposed to come into class every single day. We only went like once every few weeks to check in with the professor and to present an update with where we were in our code. And yeah, so we went about our way, and next time we met up, it was the first time after we had gotten our assignments that we met back up in the class, and we had to present to the whole class and the professor where we were with our code so far. And everyone had their own part of the code that they had to do, okay? So, and we all did it, all right? Some people probably did it better than others, but the funny thing is that Kay showed up, and Kay didn't communicate this to us at all. Like, Kay didn't happen to tell us, like, hey, by the way, I did all of it myself overnight or over whatever the time period was. Kay just showed up and was like, hey guys, like I finished it. And we actually, if I can recall correctly, we actually didn't even realize that this person had finished all of it their own way, before we were even presenting. But yeah, so then we presented, and then Kay was like, all right, here's the code. And I remember thinking to myself, because again, guys, this is like my senior year. I remember thinking to myself, wow, I thought I was a smart guy. People told me I'm smart my whole life, but this motherfucker just like, holy shit, they just did all that on their own. And I don't even understand a lot of this stuff yet. So like, I remember second guessing myself, thinking like, man, maybe I can never be a developer. Maybe software's too hard to write. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's only for people like that. Maybe it's only for people like Kay. I guess I'm just not the developer-y enough to be a dev, right? And we finished the school, finished the class, and then we all graduated, okay? And I remember like before I got my first job, I was like, I always had that imposter syndrome. Like, am I ever gonna be like good enough to do this? Like that I'm never going to be, I'm not like that person. I'm inherently different than that person in both the way that I look and act and think. And maybe because I don't look, act, and think that way, I can't be a good developer. And then I got my first job, and I was like, this is a blessing. This is great. I learned a lot my first year on my first job as a developer, more than I actually ever learned. The first 6 months of my job, I learned more than I actually ever learned in my entirety of the school in the computer science department. Right. And that's because, obviously real world experience and doing work trumps theoretical things. Right. And plus, but like I said earlier, this is kind of a topic for, a different topic. School and universities don't really prepare people well for the real world. And pretty much any developer that has been to school and is a developer afterwards will tell you that. They're like, yeah, I mean, basically the professors haven't coded real world code most likely their entire lives, because they've been in academia for their entire lives. So like they only know theoretical like computational science. All right. They don't really know how to, like, if someone was to go up to them like, hey, I have this product, I need an application built around it. Like, what can you do? They don't have that kind of knowledge. Right. But okay. So then I got my first job. All right, guys. And I did good. I was there for 2 years. And then I actually, was propositioned by a company back in my college town to basically give me a job there for a substantial amount more money per year. I was like, sure, of course. I'll go move back to my college town for a lot more money a year. Why not? So I left my first job, went to my second job. I remember I was moving up there, Okay, guys. And by the way, Kay, the person, the individual known as Kay, when we were in school, they used to work at Jimmy John's. All right. They were a delivery driver for Jimmy John's. And I remember I was on my way back up there. And keep in mind, 2 years had passed since we graduated. I had learned so much because I had a job. I had a lot of like real world hands-on experience. And I also got to have a lot of experience with the industry as well, and with people and business and stuff like that. And so I was like a new man, right? And so I'm moving my stuff back in the U-Haul, and I remember I was moving stuff into the new home. And I was like, man, I'm hungry and I don't have any food. I'm gonna go to Jimmy John's because we didn't have one back at the place I was living at before, and I had missed it from my old college days. And so I go into Jimmy John's, and lo and behold, there was Kay, still working as a delivery driver for Jimmy John's. And that's when I kind of had like this, like, I was kind of like overtaken by this, like, wow, no way that actually happened. And that's when I realized a lot more is involved in being a good developer and being in IT, or just being a professional in the corporate industry or any industry, whether you're an entrepreneur or anything, has a lot more to do with being a decent human being and being good with people, as memorizing keywords of a language. All right. And yeah, I don't know where Kay is this day, but I have since then, I have still been on a continuous path to better myself as both an engineer, a developer, a businessman, and just everything that I do, period. All right. Now, I'm not trying to say over here again, not trying to call myself Chadwick Thunderspot. All right. But I've continued to progress in life. And a large part of that is because my ability to act differently than most engineers. All right. And I am an engineer at heart. I am a true left-brained person. I'm a very analytical person. Not very creative. I can't do art at all. I was making sticker packs the last day or two for our Telegram chats, and I'm very not. I can get them done. I'm just very not good at making things look good because I'm not a very artsy, crafty person. Okay, I'm a very left-brained person. But one thing I have differently than other left-brained people, or a majority of people that are in that realm of the world, is I've never really had a problem, at least being able to communicate people when I have to. Okay. Now, do I like breathing the normie air? Fuck no, guys. I don't like breathing normie air. All right. Trust me. And you guys, a lot of my guys in here know that about me, but I've never had an issue with it, as opposed to some of these people have an issue. I would say maybe a personality issue in general as well. And I think it seriously hinders their growth. And because it hinders their growth, the world is hindered in growth as well. Because we all know code is a black hole, right? Software is literally eating up everything. And if you have people who are very narrow-sighted, who are very opinionated, and can't be open-minded to the fact that potentially the way they do something might be outdated or wrong in general, then the code is going to remain the same way, right? So let me check up with the chat. Cody Moose in the Who says, sheesh, what's up, you degenerates? What's up, guys? Yep, Cody thinks you guys are all degens. Max Initas says, proof of stake system. Yes. Sam Perchixi said, we had a supply chain prediction. We had a supply chain prediction system at Chick-fil-A. That's pretty cool. Super cool. ML deployment. That's pretty cool, dude. That's actually pretty cool. I had no idea Chick-fil-A had that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure McDonald's has that kind of stuff too. That's why, I mean, it would only make sense to have that kind of stuff, right? Cody Moose again says, damn, Chick-fil-A is next level for real. LOL. Yeah, indeed. Nick Sledging in the house says, GitHub Copilot is not going to solve bugs in 1 million plus lines of code for microservices. No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not, guys, right? And what does GitHub Copilot do? It's like, guys, by the way, GitHub Copilot, it's super hyped up marketing. Like, dude, first of all, you have to be able to code for this thing to code good, because it has to sit and kind of observe you for a bit. From my understanding, I haven't used it yet, but it has to sit and observe you for a bit and like kind of get like an understanding of what you're writing, and then it'll suggest to you up to and including like full functions, apparently, which is, guys, basically like, my guys are developers in here. You guys know what IntelliSense is. And IntelliSense in 2021 is a lot better than IntelliSense from like I don't know, 2008, right? But it basically just like suggests lines of code for you, and you press tab and it fills in the code. Now, I doubt like it can do up to full functions. I doubt it can like actually do like, legitimately complex functions, but I'm sure it can like at least like sense out what kind of function you need for what you're typing, and then maybe do some work for you, right? But it's Nick in the chat right here is right. It's definitely not going to solve bugs and 1 millionth line of code. It probably won't even solve bugs in code, Nick, on 500 lines of code for microservices. That's for sure. It was me, you guys. Are you K? Cody Moose in the Hoose? Oh, you were K? Oh, good. I'm glad you admitted it. That's okay, K, because tonight we're going to teach you how to change your mindset and to become a better individual. Nick's Legend says, my first programming class, we were supposed to pair up on the final project. The other guy never showed up, and I was getting super excited about making a game, so I did the whole project and got an A. Yeah, good, Nick. You should have done that because the dude's an asshole for not showing up and bailing on you, right? A little bit different than K's situation, because K just simply didn't communicate with us, right? Like, hey, Cody Moose says secret is out. I actually work at Jimmy John's. It's okay. It's okay. We forgive you, Cody Moose. We forgive you. All right, guys. So another attribute of the quote unquote soy dev. All right, and again, this is just a pejorative for just. Honestly, guys, a majority of developers back in the day. But when you think about a developer, right, people think about like they use the word coder, right? And now all my guys here know that's like that would be considered to be like something that most engineers don't want to be called. They don't really call them coders anymore. That's kind of like a thing from the 90s. But when you think about back in the 90s, when you think about quote unquote coders, what do you think of? You think of like sweaty dude in a basement, like dark, dark basement, like, maybe with like Cheetos crust all over him. Probably very smart guy, but probably never leaves the house. You guys ever seen the X-Files? You guys remember the programmers in the X-Files? And that's how it used to be, because most of the people were the ones who were programming, right? They were people who were more likely to be drawn to that field. Because it's kind of like an antisocial thing to like, have better ability to interact with the computer, with the literal machine than humans, right? But as time has progressed and gone on, all jobs have software that were required to run them, all right? Even if you're just a pencil pusher at some like whatever job, or if you're an accountant, I guarantee you're an accountant, you're using some kind of software. Like even if it's Microsoft Excel is software, and someone has to write that code for that software, right? And maintain it and fix bugs and update it. Right, along with your email like application, which is written for software, right? It is software, and so as more people have gotten familiar with interacting with machines, the more people have been drawn to this field, and therefore the quote unquote type of person is no longer the type of person that works in IT is no longer kind of bound to that like 1990s, like, hey, this dude's like sitting in the basement with Cheetos dusk and no sunlight, right? But a vast majority of those people still exist like that in IT, all right? And these soy devs, they all kind of have another personality trait, and it's that they kind of think that they're all like God's gift to Earth, all right? And if you guys in here have worked with people who are developers, or if you are a developer, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Like they think that they're so smart, all right, that they cannot do anything wrong, that their intelligence is omnipotent and it cannot ever be questioned or be incorrect, right? And this is also a flaw, because if you never have the ability to be able to be open-minded enough to say like, hey, maybe if the person comes to you and is like, hey, what you did is inefficient, or it's wrong, or it's not good, here is exact proof as to why I'm making this argument, and they can't even, they'll get, most time if this would happen if you were to approach one of these guys with that kind of statement, they would get angry at you. They wouldn't even attempt to like look into the evidence that you're trying to present to them. And if you have that kind of mindset, you're never ever going to be able to progress in life, and thus the whole entire world is not going to progress, because, again, hate to harp on it, guys, but the world is basically dependent off of code right now, right? And probably will be. And that kind of mindset is going to prevent you, literally you and all of mankind, from progression, right? It's just silly, right? So what do you do? What do you do if you're this kind of person? Well, if you are this kind of person and you're listening, you probably hate me already, and you probably are never going to take this advice But if you have the ability to take this advice, or if you do want to at least try to be open-minded, because maybe you want, maybe you're questioning like, hey, maybe some of the stuff I do is wrong. Maybe the way I act is wrong. Maybe I don't want to be stuck in the same exact position, the same exact income, doing the same exact thing for the rest of my life. Then maybe, maybe I'll try the other way. But for starters, try to tone down your intelligence knob, okay? And I know that's hard to do for people who are smart, okay? Like, trust me, I know. Probably have a hard time interacting with people and just communicating with people, because when you talk to them, you probably just feel like they're fucking stupid, and you just probably feel nothing in common with them, okay? So, like, I get it. But what you have to do is try to, like, instead of saying it like that, I'll put it to you like this. Try to null or numb your intelligence for a bit, all right? And instead of thinking that you have to be right all the time, take a step back and just think about the option that the person is presenting you, and then think about this. If this person's option is smarter or better than mine in one way, shape, or form, then I can become smarter and better, because I can adapt that in the future and benefit. And therefore, I am one step closer to just being an advanced human. Sorry, guys, had to mute for a second because my crazy spotted dog is freaking out in the background. All right, so at least look at it like that, okay? You can benefit from it. Like, you can literally benefit from it if you learn something new, all right? Another, I really don't want to sit and like, those goddamn soy devs. Ugh, they make me feel bad, so I'm going to go and talk bad about them, because quite frankly, like, there was a point in my life where I would, work with other developers, and I'm like, okay, they're not going to take me seriously. All right, well, like, whatever. Like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I should get better. But as I've literally gotten better, I really don't even care about that anymore. In fact, I probably, to be quite honest with you, I probably value these people's opinions less than I would like my dogs, or a sea turtle in the ocean. All right. But, I still want people to be able to work together good. And I still want people to be able to get better. I still want the world to get better, guys. Again, code is a black hole. The whole world is run off of code. All right. For the fourth time tonight, I'm not trying to like, I know the whole technological unemployment meme. All right, we have a Telegram sticker for it now, but like, I mean, it's true. Part of it is true. Okay, and people work better together, because when you pull multiple brains together, you can do things harder, better, faster, and stronger. Right, and that's another thing that these guys don't have, is they have the inability to want to work together with people. Right. Some people like this, again, are literally, that's still 1990s-esque kind of person. And like, if you're trying to like accomplish like a project together, or like if they're interacting with your code and you're interacting with their code, and you can't get a response from these guys like in 2 weeks, it's no good, right? It's no good. Is my camera going to focus? There we go. It's no good if you can't even get someone to talk to you, right? And there's probably multiple reasons for that. They're probably also just antisocial, because again, they probably feel more comfortable interacting with the machine than humans. I can relate to that too. Trust me. But a second piece of advice, instead of putting them down, is try to be able to communicate with people in smaller bursts. All right. Not asking you to like, hop on a Zoom call with this guy, turn your camera on, and like have a 3-hour conversation with them about like how much you love your pink, purple polka dotted dinosaurs. All right. But just try to like communicate with them. And also, and I know this from personal experience. Sometimes people will talk to me, and I feel like I'm superior and I don't need to hear what they're saying, because I'm just going to understand it anyway. But sometimes I'll miss things, right? Because I'll shut that part of me off. Try not to like shut the input into your brain from what they're saying go off. All right. Try not to just block it out. Try to listen and understand what they're saying. All right. And that will probably make it easier for you to work with people. Okay. Another problem that people have in this field, and this is going to be legitimate advice for my soy dev brothers, my recovering soy dev brothers out there, okay? I've seen it firsthand, okay? I've literally seen it firsthand. My first job ever, there was a supreme soy dev who worked on our team, and he was on the team for 10 years. 10 years, and he was only a level 2 engineer. Only a level 2, a mid-level. 10 years, only a mid-level. Probably making like 58K a year. Not shit for an engineer, right? That was his first job out of school. He did a lot of fucking work. He was miserable to work with. And because he had this old world way of thinking, and he was like, I'm going to be bound to this one company. And eventually, if I work really fucking hard, they're going to promote me and I'll be the CTO one day. He's probably still doing the exact same job. Probably making slightly more than he was before. And if you are in that kind of position, and guys, keep in mind, this is not just for like people in IT or developers. If you are in that kind of position, you're going to get angry when someone gets something better than you, because if you feel like they don't deserve it. So if someone new comes and you find out like they're new in the company, they're new on your team, and they're making like 30 grand a year more than you, you're going to be angry. And they're probably going to do less work than you, because you've probably been at this place for so long you've probably done so much work because you tried so hard and you thought they were going to move you up in the company, and they probably never did. This person's going to have a lot less knowledge of the company than you, and they're going to do a lot less work because of that. And they're probably going to be making more money than you because, again, they're new, and because you got played. Honestly, you got played. You got played because the point of the company to hire an employee in the corporate world is to keep them, paying them as little as possible, while also at the same time being able to get them to do as much work as possible. Okay. And they're kind of like people, they kind of like dangle a carrot. Like, they make you think company, family, blah, 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 blah. You work hard, you get moved up here. It's not a reality. It's not actually anymore. It's not a reality anymore. It used to be back in the good old days. All right. But not anymore. Right. And so if you're a try hard, all right, if you're super hard, try hard, and you don't get something and someone else gets something better than you, don't hate them for it, because it's your fault. All right. It's 100% your fault because you have this old world way of thinking. Okay. Like, you need to recognize that what you have is an extremely valuable skill, and there's a plethora of opportunities out in the universe for that skill that are willing to give you top notch for doing jack shit. Okay. And then another thing too, and I guess after this part, we can just kind of like, I'll stop harping on the soy devs. But another thing too is back to kind of the first thing that I was talking about. Most people are working a job just in general, no matter what job you are, in probably some kind of like place or job or field that isn't like their number one choice in life, right? It's not something they're super passionate about. And I don't know if you guys have ever like, if there's anyone out there who's a developer and is listening right now. If you guys have ever worked for like a company where you've worked on like really, really old, maybe like 15-year-old legacy code, for, I don't know, let's just say a cat food company. All right. Well, it's going to be really hard to do a good job and to, write good code if you're, working on something that's the complete inverse of what you're, passionate about. Okay. And I believe in the future, and I think we're already getting this way, but I believe in the future, the world is going to be a lot less corporate. It's going to be a lot less centralized, one could say. You guys know I love that word, or rather, it will be more decentralized, and you guys know I love that word. And I believe that people will no longer do a job. A job won't be something that people have. It'll be something that people do. And if you're open to try that as something that's a part of your life, and let's just say you're a developer, I can guarantee you're probably going to write way better code than you ever have before, because you're interested on it. You're interested about it. You're passionate about it. You probably do it faster too, with a lot less headache. Okay. So potentially think about maybe taking a little peep out of your comfort zone and switching the tune and going somewhere else. Don't be afraid to like start over again. And most likely it's going to benefit you in more ways than just financially. Okay. So let me get back up with the chat. Christian Shono says the tinfoil. Yes, the tinfoil indeed. I don't have it, guys. I didn't bring it, guys. I'm sorry. Fuck yes. X-Files is my jam. Pissed they took it off Amazon. Did they take X-Files off of Amazon? I'm sorry, Cody Moose. I've already seen all the X-Files episodes 1 trillion times. And I don't really watch TV anymore, but if I did, I would watch X-Files, I suppose. Antonio S in the house says, "Sup, homies." Antonio, I think you're getting ready to become a developer, I believe, right? So I think this everything I've said so far will probably benefit you. But also, honestly, Antonio, I think I don't think you're very soy dev. I think you're probably me knowing you, Antonio. You are not a soy dev. You are an anti-soy dev. Wade Emery says, I know zero about coding, but I want to be trained right. Yeah, another thing too about like coding, guys, it's not like the way that it used to. You don't have to be like a dirty, sweaty neckbeard in a basement to code. We've progressed so much in mankind that first of all, I'll just flat out say it, coding is easier now than it used to be. Coding is easier now, especially for like newer things than it used to be like literally 3 years ago. And that's because of Moore's law. But well, Moore's law is kind of like already. Moore's law doesn't even work anymore. Moore's law is literally broken. It's a broken law. But yeah, being trained right is important. And I would venture to say that a lot of the soy devs like won't even take advice. They're just like, I can do it this way. I can do it better, and they'll probably never end up learning something new or better. Caboose says that's like the creator of NPM. He did a little talk during my boot camp, and he had that pompous attitude. Yeah, I bet makes sense. And then went and basically said all white people don't deserve to be at the top. Cody, are you white? If so, you should go rope, brother. Go rope. Do society a favor, Cody. Cody Moose. NPM equals node package manager. Yes. Yes, Cody. We know what NPM means. Spoiler, he is also white. Makes sense. He hates himself. Nick's Legend says 10 years is too long. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I guarantee you he's probably still there, Nick. The amount of legacy code in production is increasing exponentially. Yeah, it's disgusting. Like why? And another thing too, guys, like we're stuck. We're all these companies, all these corporate entities are like catering to this archaic Web 1.5 software, and quite frankly, like they need to start progressing away from that. And if they don't, they're all going to be out of style just as faster than the banks are. That's for sure. Antonio says, "I am anti-soy. Period." Good thing, my brother. We know you are. Nick's Legend says, "Neckbeards hate you. Hate that you don't have to be like them to code." Yeah, they do. They do, right? That's another good point to make, Nick. Guys, and I apologize. I'm very like snooty tonight. My snoot is very snippy. My sinuses are a little not too great here. Something bad in the air down in Miami, Florida. Yeah. All right, let's talk about this. So these neckbeard soy devs, very pompous people for the most part, and they pride themselves in their ability to code unlike the normal people. I am far superior. While you were out participating in premarital sex, I was studying the art of the keyboard. Right? Those kind of people. And then, someone that's not socially awkward and can at least hold a 5-minute conversation with somebody and also isn't a neckbeard comes and just codes, they're going to automatically just like be angry at you because you have the one thing that they have that they feel is good about yourself, and then you have more. So, and usually those people are like, yeah, like I kind of like suck at a lot of things in life, but hey, I'm a developer, I'm an engineer, so like, I'm far superior than everybody else because the technological takeover is coming soon. And so, when you come, and that kind of undoes their belief set, and it makes them have to introspectively look at themselves, and then, they become upset. So yes, Nick, you are very indeed correct. Nick Sledge also says, I have a plan to make DocuSign obsolete Web3. That would be really cool, dude. That would be really cool because DocuSign does like things that like is DocuSign does things that is kind of questionable, right? Like they want to log your location. I mean, I guess you're signing documents to like move like hundreds of millions of dollars, then maybe like people signing it might want to know your location. for like, I don't know, security purposes or something. But like, I mean, when you go and what if I like sign a paper and mail it to somebody? Like, they're not going to know my location. They might know the location that the mail was sent, but I could be on a boat already, like to go to Yugoslavia. So like, why does DocuSign need to do things and harvest data like that? I don't know. I think it's kind of sus, to be honest with you. But so guys, if you another thing too, guys, because you guys aren't familiar with this site right here, what we do at Developer Direction. Some people will contact me and be like, man, I'm not like a neckbeard. They don't flat out say this, okay? But they're like, basically what they portray to me is like, hey, like I'm not like a strange neck bearded individual. All right. So I'm not really sure if I can code. Like, I don't really know if it's like a thing I can do, but I would love to, because, it's interesting to me, and I would love to make good money, and I would love to work from home. And I would love to have a job that, is going to be future proof. They're like, but I'm just a normal guy. Like, I don't have a pencil protector. I don't wear a pencil protector. Right. They're like, is that something that I can do? And I'm like, just because you're not a cave dwelling neckbeard doesn't mean that you can't code. All right. Every guy that we have in there is not a cave dwelling neckbeard. Okay. And like, people just have to like have this, like, again, people have this connotation, this negative connotation on that type of person, that like they have to be soy, they have to be cave dwelling, they have to be neckbeard. You don't have to be any of those things. All right. And as time goes on, as time continues, as the world continues to progress, more and more and more people are going to be doing that job, because they're just going to literally have to. Okay. They're literally going to have to. Like, I truly believe that no matter what field you're in, you're going to have to learn, you're going to have to know a base level understanding of code, because you're probably going to have to interact with it on a semi-regularly basis. Okay. And one good thing about being a developer or a software engineer is that, like, if you work as a developer, all right, whatever you're developing on or coding for, you have to be like as intellectually savvy about that as well as you do about the code that you write. All right. So like, if you have to write the code for a machine that does brain surgery, you're most likely already a brain surgeon. So the person, they have some kind of like, studial background in like brain surgery or something like that. Okay. If you are going to be writing code for the telecom industry, you are going to have to know about the telecom industry, because if you can't understand code, the code that you're writing, you're not going to be able to write it. It's just like anything else. All right. Like, you can have an engineer brain, and you can have like the mindset of someone who can problem solve and troubleshoot. All right. But if you don't know and understand the things that you're trying to problem solve and troubleshoot, you're never going to get there. Right. And that's just pretty simple. Okay. And that goes for anything. And most people who work in software development or as software engineers, they're not working. They're not coding on code. All right. I mean, some job is just like, hey, like, you're going to be a developer for an IDE. And if you guys don't know what an IDE is, IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. And it's just like a piece of software that people write their code in, and it helps them. So in that case, then you wouldn't have to know anything like special, other than like, hey, the people that are going to use this are software developers. So I would probably already know that kind of stuff. But like, literally any field that you're probably working in, you're going to have to understand that business as well. You have to be savvy about it as well. So I do truly think that more and more people are going to continue to have to interact with code. And again, I think that's a lot of jobs are going to be, eradicated per se. Again, not to spread FUD, right? Not to spread FUD. But I believe Mr. McDonald is indeed going to activate technological unemployment inevitably in the next 5 to 10 years. All right. I think that's kind of a given, guys. All right. So that takes away some jobs. All right. But there's also going to be more jobs made for the people who write the software for that. Right. And another thing too, guys, is Web3 is coming. All right. And that's bringing up a huge amount of opportunity because Web3 development is completely different. The understanding of Web3 development is very different than your traditional development. All right. And a lot of people who are coding for Web3 positions right now, who are developers for Web3 jobs, they most likely didn't come from like the normal development world. They most likely had to learn how to do that code because they were just working at a place, or they had an idea and they had to learn it, right? Because it's hard to go find somebody with like, 5 years of Solidity experience, because quite frankly, it didn't really exist. It's still not used a lot today, guys. It's still not. But like 5 years ago, I mean, probably couldn't find anybody with like 1 year of professional Solidity experience at least, right? So that's also important too. And times are going to change. Times are going to continue to change, guys. And, jobs are going to be taken away in some areas and given in other areas, all right? I think blockchain technology is extremely important, all right? I really do. Without having to be like cheesy, I truly believe that technology already has and is going to continue to change the world for the benefit of humanity. Unless, of course, you're using it for a central bank digital currency. And you guys have already seen me harp about that. So I don't think I need to go and explain why, right? Because then that wouldn't be a benefit. That would be destructive. And that would be a perversion of what that technology was used and created for in the first place, right? But speaking of blockchain development, guys, if you do, in order to give myself a shameless plug, I will say we at Developer Direction are doing another blockchain fundamentals course, right? If you guys are interested, you can go to the website and check it out. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to plug it because, probably already have too many people in there than I would like to have in there currently. But that's one thing that you can do, or you can just literally just start putting your hands on the keyboard and learning, and you can not be closed-minded and not think that, hey, that job that I'm doing with legacy code from 15 years ago is going to last for forever, because chances are it's not. So Cody Moose says, technically Solo is a neckbeard. Is Solo a neckbeard? Solo, I don't know if you're in here. Shave your beard, friend. I remember applying for jobs that wanted 10 years of experience in React, which was created in 2016. Yeah. Another thing too, Cody, like the corporate world, man, dude, they're so fucking stupid and they're so out of touch with reality. They live in this. Don't get me started now. I want to get angry. I'm gonna get angry. You guys don't want me to get angry at the corporate world. Good thing about Web3 is like, if you guys had ever like interviewed or talked to people that work for a company in Web3, their mindset is completely different because they're doing that stuff. They're doing that kind of development, not because they have to, but because they want to, because they're passionate about decentralization. They're passionate about the reason that blockchain technology existed. And like, they're because of that, they tend to be more open-minded people, and they're more open-minded to how things are done in general. They try to, in my experience, they try to be very different than a regular quote unquote company. In fact, they probably don't even like being called a company per se, unless of course they're getting backed by like, I don't know, Pantera Capital, and they're giving them billions of dollars, and then Pantera is going to be like, hey, we need you guys to be like a legitimate, serious company, Christian Soto put the link for the course. Thank you, Christian Soto. Yeah, guys, check that out if you're interested in it. But that's all I really have tonight. If you guys have any questions you want to ask, you can ask me like anything. It doesn't have to be related to what we talked about tonight. All right. But my snoot, guys, my snoot is in pain. I cannot breathe at the left side of my nose. No, I did not do copious amounts of cocaine with Pablo last night, but my allergies are very fucking bad, and I have no idea. Guys, I thought moving to Florida, my allergies would get better, but apparently we have like literally dust from Africa come across the ocean, so like we inhale dust in our nose. So that might be a problem. I might need to get if anyone has a drill bit, has a power drill, let me know. I need to borrow it. Get Vicks, says Christian Soto. Hey, I got this right here, actually. I got this Vicks Vaporize Snoot capsule right here. This camera never wants to fucking focus this light. Guys, murder the camera. Get rid of it. And I was also awake till 6 a.m. last night. So unless anybody has any immediate questions, please, guys, let me go and lay in my bed, because that's all that I want to do. In fact, guys, I might even go order a pizza. I don't want to do that. I might even go order. If you guys want to know what kind of food I'm going to eat, follow me on Instagram at eatliftprogram. You guys will see in my story probably in about an hour. I love you guys. I hope you guys had a good week. I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I hope my soy dev friends in here didn't get offended. I hope you guys learned something. Oh, and also, I have a video on my channel called Attack of the Soy Devs. If you guys want to know why I'm harping on soy devs so much, go and watch that video, right? You might be able to understand a little bit better. That's all I got tonight, guys. I love you all, and I'm out.
Don't pit again.
No, no, no!
And again.
Bonjour, gentlemen.
Lord Bogdanov, Crab 17 was a stunning success.
Ça soit une virgule verte et impressionne. La crabe se vendait, moi sourire. Mr. Rothschild.
Forgive me, my lord.
Continue with the plan. Do not disappoint me. And garnish his richesse. Mr. McDonald.
I'm loaded.
Good. C'est tout.